Today we will actually be finishing Unit 14 on modern poetry. We'll be wrapping up Edna St. Vincent Millay with the 4 shorter poems that I have chosen by her from the ones they have in the book. Lament is the first one I will talk about. It seems like a simple poem. It has no rhymes, just short lines, and it presents a situation which reminds us a little of the Ballad of the Harp Weaver, where the son's father has died and he and his mother don't know what to do. But the making of clothes in this one, lines 3 through 6, from his old coats I'll make you little jackets, I'll make you little trousers from his old pants. It seems sort of cold and dreadful in this case. Your father is dead, children. Well, here's the practical things we're going to do about it. And then she finishes it up with what is a standard thing said when people die: life must go on. She repeats it 3 times and goes rather horrifically back to ordinary day-to-day things. Eat your breakfast, take your medicine, trying to keep going. And then finishes with the sad little ironic line, life must go on. I forget just why. Then we see how much the woman is actually suffering from this. I don't know why life should continue. I'm trying to go on. I am trying to keep raising my children and thinking practically rather than with sorrow of my husband being gone. It's a very bleak, grim poem, and we would think that Millay had a very negative view of life, if not for poems like Renaissance. Ashes of Life, which is on page 472, to me has about the same theme as Lament. It's not as ironic. There's a cold, harsh irony in the words of Lament, but in Ashes of Life, which I think is more honestly, let us say, more directly emotional, there's the same feeling. Human comfort or human sources of comfort, whatever they may be, are not enough. That if somebody is alone, which is probably about the worst situation in life, complete loneliness, either from death, as in Lament, or from losing her loved one in some unknown way in Ashes of Life, then there's nothing we can do to really help ourselves. We know from Renaissance and from a couple of other poems by Millay, which are good but are not in this book. I think of To Jesus on His Birthday, which is a sonnet about Christmas. We know that Millay did believe in God. God is not mentioned in these poems, but we can sort of sense his absence through them. In Ashes of Life, she starts off with these long lamenting lines. Love has gone and left me, and the days are all alike. And there's biblical as well as Shakespeare references in this poem. The first stanza gives a sense of what it would be like to have a sad, empty life in which every day is the same. And what does she say? I wish the night were here in the daytime. And then a couple of lines later, after a vivid description of insomnia, I wish it were day again. I don't know the exact verse, but that's right out of Deuteronomy, where in describing the curses against the Israelites if they rejected God, he says, in the daytime you'll say, I wish it were night, and in the nighttime you'll say, I wish it were day. But I think the third stanza is the strongest. What a simile here. Life goes on forever like the gnawing of a mouse. Life is very long, T.S. Eliot said in The Hollow Men, and what he meant was for somebody with no faith, with no love, life just seems to go on and is pretty hard to fill. And that's what this poem is about. It's when there's nothing left but the ashes of life, the cold, dead remnants of stronger and better feelings like love. So what is this long life like? It's like a mouse eating away with the little teeth slowly toward the end of it. And then tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. she had to have been thinking of Shakespeare's great, perhaps greatest, arguably, tragic speech, Macbeth's, in Act 5, when he's completely disillusioned. His wife has just died. He knows he's probably going to be overthrown. He has nothing left. And he says, tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. Same sense of days passing drearily along one after the other, meaninglessly. She adds one more tomorrow, just to make the point even firmer. We finish off with the Figs, two extremely short poems, but both very witty and clever, both using a familiar phrase or a familiar sentence to make a point. She actually called these figs from thistles in the longer version. We might wonder in both cases of the title what she means by this. I think that a fig is something small and sweet. Pop it in your mouth, it doesn't last long, but it has a pleasant effect, and I think she meant that with the fig poems. But thistles, of course, are sharp and prick people, so she meant there to be a little bit of a sting in these poems as well. First fig, some of the best-known lines of Millay outside of Renaissance. I was finding them several times when searching her. Goes fully like this. It's on page 469. My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night. But ah, my foes, and oh, my friends, it gives a lovely light. What this is based on is the old proverb about burning a candle at both ends. What does that metaphor mean? Well, to say that you can't burn your candle at both ends, first of all, that's just strictly true. Imagine if you could cut the bottom off, you had the fuse out at both sides, you set both sides on fire. Might be kind of dramatic and interesting, but of course the candle would go twice as fast. So that statement means you cannot be active through the day and through the night. You can't work too hard and play too hard. You can't try to do too much in your life. Well, Millay's narrator is saying, I'm going to. I remember years ago when I taught this poem, and one of my students said this was her grandmother's favorite poem. I think it was even at her funeral. It was saying that I am going to live life strongly. I'm going to pursue everything I can, and if it doesn't last very long, well, it's a beautiful light. We are meant to be light as well as salt to this world, of course, Jesus said. And the alliterative line, lovely light, is a nice little ending to show what kind of positive impact on the world somebody could have by doing all that she possibly could in this life. The third line is interesting, though. She addresses her foes as well as her friends. She's saying to those who are close to me, who care for me, I'm saying this, but also to my enemies, I'm saying, I'm still enjoying this life. It's a lovely light. Second fig. Again, Millay does not mention God openly in the poems we have other than Renaissance. But here, of course, she quotes him, quotes Jesus at the end of the Sermon on the Mount. It was a secular proverb that was at the heart of first fig. Second fig, which is on the same page as Ashes of Life, this is the entire poem. Safe upon the solid rock the ugly houses stand. Come and see my shining palace built upon the sand. What I like about that is that Millay is saying to the reader, although not speaking him directly, you're going to have to have read the Bible, or at least know some of Jesus' parables to understand this poem. If you didn't know about the house built on rock and the house built on sand, what he meant by that, which of course was that the house built on the solid rock of Christ himself, of faith in him, will stand no matter what the storms of life are. Of course, the house built on sand, built on a belief in perhaps worldly things, money, not in Jesus, is going to have a collapse when things get difficult. What's Millay saying? Well, she's again being ironic. She's using the voice of a person who doesn't realize this and who trusts in worldly things, and like a great many Americans do, and our whole culture tells us to do it. Look at all the advertisements. Trusts in the newest iPhone or iPad or whatever thing people are lining up for, the most expensive or the nicest looking car. Trusts in these things to give us a sense of worth and happiness in material things. Millay's narrator is saying, oh, these houses that are on the rock are not pretty, are not gaudy, are not luxurious, but I have this beautiful palace built on the sand. This is dramatic irony. This is when the reader knows something that the character doesn't. The reader says, you say that, but I know what a house built on sand really stands for. And so this final brief little poem shows once again that underneath a lot of Millay's poetry is not only a lack of trust in things that don't last, in worldly things, but I think a real trust in our Creator.